report the chaos. We reveal the agenda.
All right, let's dive in. Today we're looking at Pakistan, a nation that right now can only be described as a pressure cooker, with some really intense and complex forces building up inside. So, where do we start? Well, with a pretty stark warning, actually. It comes straight from security analysts, the folks who watch global stability for a living, and honestly, they are painting a really concerning picture for the country's immediate future.
Wow. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Not just at risk, but one of the most susceptible countries in all of Asia to major civil unrest. This single quote really frames the central question for our whole explainer today. How did the risk get so high?
To answer that, you really have to look at all the different ingredients creating this pressure cooker environment. And the first one, probably the biggest one, is the economy.
You see, the main threat to Pakistan's stability is a national debt problem that has just reached staggering proportions. It's created this vicious cycle that is incredibly difficult to escape from.
Just look at this number, 60%. What does that actually mean? It means for every dollar or rupee that the government collects in revenue, 60 cents of it is immediately gone. Not to build schools, not to fix roads, not for healthcare, just to pay the interest on its debt. We're not even talking about paying the actual debt down, just the interest. And if you think that sounds high, you're right. To put that into perspective, look at this. Pakistan's 60% is more than double the average for other emerging markets. They're typically sitting below 25%. So this shows you just how extreme that financial squeeze really is. It's on a completely different level. So here's where the rubber really meets the road. How does a government debt problem affect people on the street? Well, to get those crucial IMF bailouts, the government has to enforce some really painful austerity measures. We're talking about tax hikes, cutting fuel subsidies, things that directly hit your wallet, straining family budgets. And that is what fuels the public anger that those analysts we mentioned are worried about.
But, it's never just one thing, is it? The economic hardship is a massive piece of the puzzle, but there are other major fault lines cracking open, both from the outside and from within.
On the security front, you've got a serious and escalating conflict with the TTP, the Pakistani Taliban. And this timeline shows you this isn't some distant threat. It's a recent pattern of attacks and retaliation, including a really deadly assault on a border post not long ago. This is an active, violent conflict happening right now. And the scale of this threat, it's huge. We're not talking about a small fringe group. A UN report says the TTP is now the largest group of its kind in Afghanistan. We're talking about thousands of fighters, many of them armed with weapons left behind after the NATO withdrawal. Okay, so you have that external threat. Now let's pivot to a long-term internal crisis, and that's education. This chart is, well, it's staggering. 38% of school-aged kids in Pakistan are out of school. Just think about that. That's nearly 4 out of every 10 children who are not getting a basic education. And if you're wondering why, here it is. It comes down to funding. Pakistan's spending on education is just 0.8% of its GDP. The UN recommends a country spend between 4 and 6%. It's not even in the same ballpark. This kind of underinvestment really compromises the future for millions of people. So let's just recap. You've got a nation under immense strain from debt, from security threats, and from a deep social crisis in education. It is a bleak picture, and it begs the question, is there any kind of release valve? Is there a source of hope anywhere?
Well, the answer might actually come from a very unexpected place, the country's pharmaceutical sector. Now, this is an industry with its own huge challenges, but it also might just be sitting on a massive untapped opportunity.
First, let's be real about the problems. According to regulators, the industry has been held back for years. Why? A failure to meet international standards, a real lack of R&D, not enough government support. It's a long list of some pretty serious hurdles. And yet, despite all of those barriers, this is happening right now. Several Pakistani pharma companies have started to domestically produce one of the most in-demand classes of drugs on the entire planet.
You've definitely heard of these. We're talking about GLP-1 drugs. Yep, things like Ozempic and Mounjaro. They are the revolutionary treatments for diabetes and weight loss that are everywhere right now. And they target a global health crisis that affects over 1 billion people. The market is absolutely colossal.
And this isn't just talk. They're taking real, concrete steps. First, they're making cheaper, generic versions for their own local market. But here's the crucial part. They are investing over $500 million to upgrade their factories. The goal? Meet those tough international standards and turn this into a major export industry.
So this brings us right to the heart of it, to the central tension facing Pakistan today. You have these immense, destabilizing forces on one side and this spark of incredible economic potential on the other.
It really is a nation in the balance. On one side of the scale, you have the crushing debt, the risk of civil unrest, the security threats, the education crisis. But on the other side, you have this potential pharma boom, ongoing international support, and a massive youth population that could be a powerful engine for growth.
And the key takeaway here is that nothing is set in stone. The future isn't written yet. Pakistan is at a true inflection point, a real tipping point. The pressures are very real, but so are the opportunities, and that balance is incredibly fragile.
And that leaves us with this final, critical question. We've seen all the things heating up this national pressure cooker. So, can a booming, high-tech industry like pharmaceuticals provide the release valve? Is it enough to cool things down before it all boils over? The answer to that question is going to define Pakistan's future.